Hi everyone, welcome to Elemental Flows. My name is Christina and thank you for joining me in today's practice. Today I have another longer flow prepared for you, and this one we will definitely be engaging the core, so you can expect to build a little bit of heat. However, there's nothing necessarily too strenuous in this practice. I still consider it more of a grounding flow than a super active flow, so I think you'll still enjoy it. So let's get started, get right into it. We're going to start today in a Shavasana. So come down onto your mat, just lying down. You can close the eyes if that's comfortable for you. Have the arms by your sides. And we'll take a couple of breaths to settle into this practice. So on an inhale, let's breathe in through the nose. And exhale out through the mouth. And while we're here, think about seeping into the mat beneath you and allowing the mat to hold the full weight of your body. Now you can either stay here with your legs down on the floor, or if you want, bring the soles of the feet together and bend the knees so that they flare outwards to the sides. And you can take a couple of blocks and place them underneath your knees if you want the additional support here. Let's continue with our deep breaths. Let's breathe in through the nose. Allow the air to fill up your entire body. And then exhale out through the mouth. Notice where you may be holding some tension and try to breathe into those spaces. And take one last deep breath here. And exhale. Good. And let's remove the blocks if you are using them. We're going to place the soles of the feet on the mat. The knees are still bent. Bring the feet about hip-width distance apart. We're going to come into a bridge pose. So you can use a block here if you want that additional support and if you want to make it a more passive bridge. On an inhale, let's press into the hands and feet to lift our hips off of the floor. And again, you can use the block, place it underneath your hips here if you like. Otherwise, think about sending those hips into the sky. And then on an exhale, remove the block if you were using one and gently release the hips back down to the ground. Let's take our knees into the chest and wrap the arms around the shins and tuck the chin into the chest to give yourself a nice hug here. And then release the head back down to the mat. Let's keep our knees bent. We're going to lift our shins so that they are parallel to the floor. And we're going to take some side twists. So have the arms out by the side. We're going to begin by taking the knees over to the left. And again, you can use a block and place it underneath your knees here if you want the additional support. While we're here, think about the shoulder, the right shoulder, still being in contact with the floor. And continue to notice any tension you feel in your body. And again, try to release and breathe into those spaces. And then bring the knees back up. We'll repeat that on the other side. So this time we drop the knees over to the right. And again, allow your body while we're here to relax. We're just waking our bodies up and settling into this practice. Bring the knees back up to center. And now we're going to extend the left leg out so that it comes to the mat to begin. We'll bring our arms up overhead in front of us. And then we're going to drop our right arm so that it hovers over the floor. And then I want you to engage your core and then lift that left foot off of the mat, or the left leg off of the mat. We're going to do a couple of switches here with our legs and our arms. So try to flex that left foot. If you prefer, you can also extend the right leg and keep that right foot flexed here. But while we're here, I want you to engage that core. And then we're going to switch. So let's bring in the left knee as we extend the right leg out, and then bring your left arm down as you bring the right arm up. Let's do that a couple of times. So an inhale, let's bring it all in. Exhale to switch sides, extend the left leg as you extend the right arm. And then bring it all back in once again, and then we switch. Bring the right leg out as we drop the left arm. Good. And then bring everything in. Let's tuck our knees once again into our chest as we curl in our chin to our chest. And then let's take some rocks going back and forth on our mat. Give our spine a bit of a massage and try to build the momentum so that we can come up and meet in a seated position on our mats. And then once you arrive there, we're going to work on our upper body a bit. So let's do some shoulder rolls to begin. So let's take some shoulder rolls going backwards. And then once you do a few rounds of that, switch direction and go forwards. Good. And then settle back into a neutral position. We're going to take cat and cow, but in a seated position. So on an inhale, let's arch the spine, lift the chest up to the ceiling, the chin tilts up to the sky. And then on an exhale, we round the spine, tuck the chin into the chest. We'll do a few rounds of these. So on an inhale, we arch the spine once again, lift the chest up. Exhale to release, round the spine. One more time. Inhale, we arch, lift up. Exhale, we round. Good. Come back into a neutral seated position. Let's take the arms up overhead, and then we're going to twist our torso towards the left, and then drop the hands down to the ground. So the left hand comes behind you, and then the right arm rests on that left thigh. So we're taking a twist towards the back. And again, we don't have to go too far here. We're still opening up the body, so don't try to bring yourself all the way around. And let's release. Bring the arms back up overhead, and we'll repeat on the other side. So this time we turn the torso towards the right and drop the hands down to the mat. The right hand goes towards the back, and we look over on our right side. Good. And release from here. Come back to neutral. We're going to now interlace our hands behind us, and then we'll press the hands down towards the mat as we lift up the chest and open it up to the sky. And then from here, let's release the hands. We round the spine, bring the arms out in front of you, and make a circle as though you're holding onto a ball. And then let's roll over onto our knees to come up into a neutral tabletop position. So the shoulders are over the wrists, the hips are over the knees. And from here, we'll work back into the core once again. So let's begin by extending that right foot back behind you, and then engage the core. Make sure you find your stability first before you lift that foot off of the ground so that the right leg is about parallel to the mat. Hold it here to find your balance. And then once you're ready, lift that left arm out in front of you. Hold it for a breath here. And then on an exhale, let's bend the knee and elbow into the chest as we round the spine. On an inhale, send that arm and leg back out once again. And then this time we drop the left hand down to the mat. Let's bring that right knee into the chest once again. And then this time we send that foot forward in between the hands. We are going to come up into our low lunge. So swing the arms forward and up to sit into your low lunge. So send the hips forward here to the top of the mat. Make sure shoulders are away from the ears and that you're reaching out through the crown of the head and fingertips. Now from here, let's tuck those right toes underneath us so that we can press into the feet and lift that left knee off of the floor as we come into our high lunge this time. Good. And then from here, let's extend that front leg. We drop the hands down to the mat. We bring that left heel down so it meets the mat and turn the toes slightly outward so that they're on a 45-degree angle and face towards the top left corner of the mat. We're coming into our pyramid pose. So you can bring that back foot in a little bit if the stance is too wide. Try and make sure that you have straight legs here and that the hips are square to the top of the mat. And while we're here, you can have blocks on either side to help support you if that helps you to elongate your spine. So we're thinking about bringing the head closer towards that right foot as opposed to curling the spine and rounding the head into the thigh. Good. Let's bend into that right knee. Hands are on the mat. We press into the hands to send that right foot back. And let's go through our vinyasa. I'm going to go down to my knees for this one. Let's bend at the elbows to lower ourselves down. And then on an inhale, slide the chest forward and up, either for upward facing dog or cobra. And then release the chest back down. Let's press back into a child pose. So I'm going to take a closed-legged version with my knees together. Forehead rests on the mat. And then come back on up. Let's meet in our tabletop position and repeat that on the other side. So this time, I'm sending my left foot towards the back of the mat. Engage the core first here, and then when you're ready and have your stability, lift that foot off of the mat so that the leg is parallel to the floor. Find your balance here first. Engage your core before you lift that right arm out in front of you. And hold it here for a breath. And then on an exhale, we bend at the knee and the elbow to bring it into the chest. Hold it, and then on an inhale, let's extend that arm and leg back out. Now let's drop that right hand down to the mat. We round the spine once again as we bring that left knee into the chest once again. And then we send that left foot forward towards the top of the mat. Let's swing our arms forward and up to come into our low lunge. Make sure that left knee is directly over that left ankle. And then from here, let's tuck the back toes and lift the right knee off of the mat to come into your high lunge. Good, and now from here, let's drop the hands down to the mat. So you do so, we straighten that left leg, and again, bring that back foot in a bit if it's too far away from you. We come into our pyramid pose. So the toes of the right foot are facing towards the top right corner of the mat. And then on an exhale, we elongate over our left leg. Hips are square. Bring the crown of the head closer towards that left foot. Let's bend back into that left knee. Hands meet the mat. Press into the hands to send that left foot back. And let's go through our vinyasa. I'm going to keep my knees lifted for this chaturanga. Slide the chest forward and up for upward facing dog or cobra. And then this time release the chest. We're going to press back into a downward facing dog. So it's our first downward facing dog of the practice. So take whatever movements you need here to open up the body. Pedal the feet, twist the hips side to side, relax the neck, relax the head. Do what you need here. And then come to find stillness in this posture. From here, let's lift that right foot up into the sky for a three-legged dog. So our hips are square to the mat here. That right foot is still flexed. And then on an inhale, let's bend the knee and open up the hips. The shoulders are still square to the mat. Let's extend that leg once again. And then on an exhale, we bend the knee into the chest and bring it in. Let's then place that right foot down on the mat. We keep that back knee lifted up and we swing our arms forward and up once again to come back into our high lunge. So see this time if you can sink a little bit deeper into your hips here. Good, and now let's open up our hips and chest to the long edge of the mat. As I do so, I drop that back heel down, flip the palm of the front arm or of that right hand, and then send that arm towards the back for a reverse warrior. So you could either keep it here or extend that right leg so that both legs are straight. Find what works in your body today. Just try to stretch out through those right fingertips. Now let's windmill the hands towards the top of the mat. My right hand meets either the mat or a block if you want to place one underneath you, as my left arm extends up towards the sky. And I open up my chest towards the long edge of the mat. Legs are straight here, and both sides of the torso are elongated. Good. Now from here, let's bend into that right knee and we swing that left arm down and around so that that left bicep is by the left ear. You could either keep your right hand down on a mat or the block, or if you want, you can lift it so that the forearm rests on that right thigh. We're coming into our side angle pose. So think about there being a straight line all the way from that left heel out through those left fingertips. Good, and let's turn ourselves towards the mat. Both hands come down to meet the mat. We lift that back toe or back heel off of the mat, press into the hands to lift the knee into the chest and hold it here for a second. And then send it towards the back and let's go through our vinyasa. So bend at the elbows to lower down. Slide the chest forward and up for upward facing dog or cobra. And release the chest back down, tuck the toes, press back into your downward facing dog. And let's take a breath here to reset. And then we'll repeat that on the other side. So this time we begin by lifting that left foot into the sky. Hold this three-legged dog for a breath. Hips and shoulders are square here. And then let's bend into that knee, that left knee, open up the hip. Keep the shoulders square to the top of the mat. Let's then extend that left leg so that it's straight and it comes back into the sky. And then on an exhale, we bend the knee into the chest. Hold it here for a breath before you drop that left foot onto the mat and then swing the arms forward and up to come back into your high lunge. And again, see if you can sink a little bit deeper into the hips here.
Still think about extending out through the crown of the head and those fingertips. Good, and then let's open up the chest and hips to the long edge of the mat as we drop our arms to shoulder height. We flip the palm of that left hand up to the sky and then send it towards the back for a reverse warrior. Again, you can keep that left knee bent or you can straighten it. And let's windmill the hands back towards the top of the mat. The left hand either meets the ground or meets a block, and we extend that right arm into the sky. Continue to think about opening up the chest here to the side. And then once again, let's bend back into that left knee. We swing that right arm down and around so the right bicep is by the right ear. And you can keep that left hand down, or you can bring the forearm so that it rests on your thigh. Let's turn ourselves back towards the mat. The hands meet the mat as we lift that right heel off of the floor. Press into the hand so that the knee comes into the chest and hold it here for a breath. And then send that left foot back. Let's go through our vinyasa. Bend at the elbows to lower yourself down. Slide the chest forward and up for upward facing dog or cobra. Release the chest back down, and then let's press into our downward facing dog. Take a breath here, reset. Now let's look towards the top of the mat and we'll walk our feet towards our hands. And then on an inhale, we're going to press the hands into the shins and lift up to a flat back. And then on an exhale, let's release the chest towards the thighs. Then let's walk the feet so that the big toes touch. And then on an inhale, we're going to take a deep bend in the knees and swing the arms forward and up to come into our chair pose. So engage the core here. Gaze is neutral and looking forward. Our crown is lifted up towards the sky. Think about there being a straight line all the way from your sit bones out through the crown of the head and the fingertips. Exhale to release. Let's straighten the legs as the hands once again meets the mat and chest meets the thighs. We'll do another round of our chair pose. So on an inhale, take a deep bend in the knees. Let's swing the arms forward and up. And this time, if you want to add a variation, such as lifting the heels off of the mat or interlacing the hands behind you, pressing the hands towards the mat, lifting the chest and chin up to the sky, you take whatever variation works for you today. And then once again, we release. Let's bring the hands down to the mat, straighten the legs. Take a fold here. And similar to the chair pose, you can take whatever type of fold you want. So if you still want to interlace the hands and press them up towards the sky, or just grab onto the elbows and allow yourself to dangle, find a variation that works for you and feels good in your body right now, and take it. Let's allow the hands to meet the mat once again. And then from here, we're going to keep our right leg straight, but we're going to bend into our left knee. And then we're going to open up the chest towards the right and extend that right arm into the sky. Now drop that right hand back down, straighten the left leg, and we'll repeat that on the other side. So this time the left leg is straight. We bend into the right knee, and then we send the left arm up to the sky and turn to the left. Good, now let's drop that left hand back down. Let's straighten both legs. Let's take one press once again back up to a flat back. Exhale to release the chest back towards the thighs. And then this time we'll walk the feet out a little bit so that the feet are about hip width distance apart. We're going to turn the toes outwards on a 45-degree angle and then bend into the knees so that we can lower our hips down to the mat. We're coming into our garland pose. So you can place a block here underneath you if you want that additional support. But I have my hands pressed together over heart center, and I'm using my elbows to gently press my inner thighs away from each other. And while we're in our garland, think about elongating out through the spine and through the crown of the head. Good, and then we'll come to allow our hands to meet the mat. Let's bring ourselves back up. We're going to step back into our plank pose and go through our vinyasa. So on an exhale, let's bend out the elbows to lower ourselves down. Slide the chest forward and up to come to an upward facing dog or cobra. Release the chest back down, and this time we press back into a child's pose. I'm going to take a wide-legged variation, but pick the one that works for you in your body right now. So my knees are apart and I'm resting my forehead on the mat. And take inventory of your body. Notice what's changing in your body, how it's feeling, where you may be holding on to any tension. Once again, try to breathe into those spaces. Let's walk the hands back in towards us, and then we're going to come into a seated position once again on our mat. So let's swing the legs around out in front of us, and we'll keep the legs straight. And then from here, let's bend into the left knee and then bring the knee out to the side so that the sole of the left foot rests on that inner right thigh. And then from here, we're going to reach our arms up overhead on an inhale. And then on an exhale, fold over that right leg. And again, while we're here, this is more of an active stretch. So we're thinking about elongating the spine as opposed to curling the head in towards the thighs. So if you have a strap here, it could be helpful too in this pose. Let's bring ourselves back up. We're going to take that left knee into the center line. Then we're going to take the left foot, place it on the outside of that right thigh. We'll take that left hand, bring it behind you, and then on an inhale, we send the right arm up towards the sky, and then on an exhale, let's turn and twist towards the left. And so you can either grab hold of your leg as I'm doing, or you can also rest your elbow on that left thigh. And since we're doing another twist, we're thinking about turning towards the back of the mat, and see if you can twist a little bit further than what you were doing at the beginning of this practice. Just try to make sure that that left shoulder doesn't creep up to your ear while you're here. Now you could either stay here, or I invite you to go a little bit further if you're feeling up for it. Grab hold of your left foot with that right hand and then extend it up towards the sky, so almost on a 45-degree angle. But while we're here, we're still maintaining the twist towards the left side. And you could either stay here, or if you like, to go a bit further, lift that left arm into the sky so that it's parallel to the floor. And hold it here. And again, if you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, engage the core and see if you can release that foot, or release that hand, while keeping that left foot in the sky. Now everyone release, drop that left leg if you had it lifted, turn towards the top of the mat, and we'll take a quick reset. So we'll just fold over by reaching our hands up overhead and folding over. This time it's okay to round the spine here. Let's just roll ourselves back up, and then we'll repeat that on the other side. So this time we start by bending into the right knee, and then drop that right knee out to the side as you rest the sole of the left foot, sole of the right foot on that inner left thigh. And then on an inhale, we reach with our arms up overhead, and then exhale, we fold over that left leg. Good, and let's bring ourselves back up. Take that right knee into the center line. Then we move that right foot on the outside of that left thigh. Bring that right hand back behind you. And on an inhale, we reach up with our left arm. Then exhale, we turn towards the right and try to look back behind us. And you can stay here, or if you want to go a little bit further, take that left hand to grab hold of your right foot and then extend that right leg into the sky. And you can hold it here. Just make sure that you're maintaining the twist. And if you want to go a bit farther, engage the core before you lift that right hand off of the mat. And once again, you can stay here. Or if you're going a little bit further, engage the core and release that right foot. And everyone now release. Drop that leg if you had it lifted. Let's do another fold to reset. Let's reach our arms up overhead. And then we fold over both legs. And let's bring ourselves back up. We're going to make our way down to the mat. But I have one last challenge for you. So if you don't want to take the challenge, just simply go down into your Shavasana. But otherwise, the last thing that we'll do here to work on our strength and our core engagement is we'll bend into the knees, engage the core, and then lift the feet so that the shins are parallel to the mat. And you can stay here, or you can take your arms out in front of you and hold it here. Or if you want to go a little bit further, straighten those legs, and you can either keep your arms outstretched in front of you or take your arms up so that you're in like a V position. I'm going to keep them here today because that feels good for me. And then slowly, inch by inch, I want you to lower yourself down to the mat. Lower the legs as you roll your spine all the way down. And when you can no longer hold, just gently release yourself down to the mat and take a breath. Good, we'll do a couple of last poses here on the mat before we close our practice today. So we'll begin by taking that right knee into the chest and just hold it here for a breath. And then with that left hand, let's guide that right knee over to the left side. We stretch the right arm out to the right side and keep that right shoulder touching the mat. And again, you can use a block and place it underneath your right knee here if you want that additional support. And if it feels good, you could even turn your head over to the right. Let's take that right knee back into the center and we'll switch sides. So let's extend the right leg down to the mat. We take the left knee into the chest and hold it for a breath first. And then with the right hand, let's guide that left knee over to the right side. We extend the left arm out to the left. And once again, you can use the block underneath your left knee here. You could turn the head over to the left if that feels good. We're winding down from our practice, so again, take note of your body. Notice where you're holding any tension and just allow your body to release and reset and sink into the mat beneath you. Let's bring that left knee back to the center. We're going to take both knees into the chest once again, and we'll curl up. So come back into a ball just to reset here. And then drop the head back down to the mat. We'll take the knees out so that they're at shoulder width distance apart. We'll lift the soles of the feet to the sky and then reach with the arms on our inner thighs to then grab a hold on the outer edges of the feet. So we're coming into our happy baby here. Still make sure that your chin is not crunched into your chest and that your neck is elongated. And you can rock side to side if that feels good for you. Good, and then from here, let's drop the soles of the feet down to the mat. We'll keep the knees bent. We'll come into one last bridge here before we come down to the mat. So have your arms by your side. And again, you can use a block if you want to make this more of a passive bridge. On an inhale, we'll press into the hands and feet to lift our hips off of the mat. And then exhale to release the hips back down. Let's stretch out the legs once again. Let's take the arms up overhead, and we have one last stretch here. So use this inhale just to elongate the body. See how much you can stretch. And then exhale to release. Let's bring the arms by our sides. You can close off the eyes if you haven't done so already. And we'll settle into our Shavasana and close our practice for today. Let's take one final breath together to close our practice. So on an inhale, breathe in through your nostrils and allow the air to fill up your entire body. And then exhale when you're ready. Well done, everyone. You can continue to stay in this Shavasana a little bit longer if you like, but if you are ready to close your practice, I want to first thank you once again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that flow. As always, let me know how it was for you in the comments. And otherwise, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.